Hello and welcome back to the finishing line, proudly sponsored by Hollywood Bets. We know there was an issue with the sound on Wednesday, so Andrew thinks he has it sorted. If there's still an issue with the sound, please do let us know and we will try sort it. Hence, the old microphones are back and we're back Wednesday, but it didn't work. We've lots to talk about. Well, a few topics to talk about.
And if you want us to talk about other things, you can put them in the comment section there, and we will.
There's a good comment there already.
Where?
From Kevin. We'll get to that at the end.
Oh, that is a quite decent question.
But one of the first things to talk about tonight is England. We constantly say about
England. Sorry, what?
Yeah, that they can't.
England.
Yeah, they can't get enough
as in
horses to race, and it's shocking regards attendances and so on and so forth. Regards the racing and poor field sizes. It doesn't happen in Ireland, but no, that it made no difference the last time. It made no difference the last time.
Does he sound all right now at this stage? Because I have it set up because he sits on top of the microphone.
Yeah, and I need to sit on top of it the last day because he couldn't hear me.
And you didn't.
I did.
The one time I had it set up for. Sorry, go on.
And in Ireland, it constantly seems there's mistakes being made by people in charge or stewards and so on and so forth. Thanks, Michael. The sound is fine now. And another big mistake today in no other than the biggest race of the day. It's occurred in Group 1 for the fillies. A filly that came third, Ross Carberry, Paddy Toomey's horse. He won the race, but he also had third. Was later disqualified because when Wayne Lordan went in, he weighed 5 pounds light. Right? That sounds okay because you can't weigh 5 pounds light, and that is a disqualifiable offence. But it later came out when they interviewed the trainer and the people in charge that when they were setting up for the race and they got their saddles ready, he weighed 5 pounds heavy. So the clerk of the scales told him to take out 5 pounds of lead out of his saddle, weighed him again, and he weighed in at 138.5, which was the weight, and everything was okay. And then he went out, came third, came back in, and now weighed 133.5, which made no sense because Paddy Toomey says the saddle he got is the saddle he put on the horse and the saddle that went back into the room to be weighed. So you make sense of that, Andrew, because I can't.
It's in the story, plain and simple, a big fuck up by the clerk of the scales. It's plain and simple. Everyone can see it that he was told to take 5 pounds out because he was overweight, and he clearly wasn't. And then he came back in with 5 pounds under. That doesn't just happen like that. You don't lose 5 pounds of lead on a flat race.
Well, it didn't fall off around the car anyway.
No. So it's a mistake on behalf of Clark, of course. It's a mistake by either electronic scales, or was a glitch in the matrix, or whatever they wanted to call it. Either way, he should be reinstated in the third. Whoever signed him off to go out in the first place should be sacked. Fair enough. Oh, that midget. You can't be doing that in a Group 1.
It's very, very. It's just poor, and it's been happening.
It's unacceptable.
It's happened a lot with Irish stewards regards. I know we were talking about the one at Ascot, but it seems to happen more so in Ireland. They don't turn races around when it looks
in each other's pockets
to be interference. We have lots of issues. We were talking about it last week, touched on it a little bit. We'll wait till Tom gets back because he'll probably know more on that, and he's on holiday still. But regards drugs and the stories that are coming out, and then this idiotic stuff that should not happen.
There's too many old people in racing, set in the old ways, who are too comfortable in their job, and who are there's too many friends connected from the bottom to the top, who are all pally-pallies. Don't worry about it, they'll forget in a few weeks. Where if you got younger people, for instance, if we went in there, we'd be blunt enough to say, you fucked up, off you go.
I feel bad for the trainer, the horse, the jockey, and the owners, because they only did what
They done what they were told.
They did what they were told. Like the jockey didn't do anything wrong. If he was told to take £5 out, did it, and then reweighed, he was okay. There's an issue with the person that weighed him or the scales that was used, and the horse gets disqualified. Her black type was gone. Rode off. Who is this? Is a comment there. It's Ross Carberry today. If you go through the results, and you'll see it on.
Go on to Racing TV, Twitter, Instagram. You see all the interviews from Nick Luck and Peter Toomey. I'll explain it all.
It's just it's a silly thing, and there's been lots of silly things going on. It's not really the same thing, but I had sent stuff to Tom and Andrew during the week regards I think it's the BHA and the funding that they're putting in to try and bump up young people in racing, and just regards how they're doing it. And I will try and actually find the story.
Jermaine Genius.
Yeah, they're paying Jermaine Genius anyway as like the figurehead of this campaign to get young people into racing, because he's a famous footballer and all that. But like the man,
he's not even that famous.
The man knows nothing about racing. He's not a figurehead of racing, and
it makes no sense.
I just sent this to the lads that like they just can't seem to get it right. They don't understand what draws the crowd in. That's touching on Kevin's comment. He's saying about the attendance at the flat Irish flat meeting, which is technically the biggest day of the year. 12,000 compared to 18,000 at Newcastle. And I think that just shows, and I know Newcastle is a flat meeting. There's a lot of jumps horses in that meeting, and that Newcastle track, it kind of
scalloping track.
Yeah, and it touches more to the normal Joe Soaps, and that's what jump racing to me does now. From being up at the car over the weekend, you could see the difference in the crowd from when we go to Punchestown and Cheltenham. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with difference in crowds, but you just feel the vibe is different.
It's as plain as day as you can see. There's people out for picnics. They're all middle-aged to older people there. They're all with their champagne. They're all in their top hats, or not top hats. They all have these the women, what are called? Fucking feathers and looking like fruit pastilles walking around the place. You don't see many. I did not see many young people there.
No, there wasn't that many young people there. There wasn't that many kind of groups that you'd see that we saw at Cheltenham, at Punchestown, at Dublin Racing Festival. And that's okay, because I think the jumps game is stronger at the moment and has the bigger following. They're still in parts getting that wrong, but the whole thing, like, regards the mistakes that are being made at races like that, where you can't, in my opinion, you can't make mistakes at big races like that. It's like making a mistake in a refereeing mistake in a big final. It's the same type of thing. Like, you can't have that going on. The issues with the BHA can't seem to get their head around what people want to watch or what people are into. There's a comment there about Royal Ascot on ITV was really a fashion with racing, which I have said for long, and Tom and Andrew have said, like, it's about racing, and it used to be about racing when it was on Channel 4, and it was Channel 4 racing, and John McClurk was on, and like, he's a bit mad and he was a bit sexist and all, but he was what he was. The other lads that were on it, was
John Frankham.
John Frankham was absolutely brilliant. Now Ruby and AP are good, but
I even think with Ruby, I think his hands are kind of shackled in a way.
Oh, well, it's his job, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's more open on RTE. He's a lot more frank. And like, you can even, we'll get onto the Frankie thing in a while, but you can even see when he was talking about the Frankie thing, why don't you just call a goddamn spade and say they're not going to be partners anymore and so on. They were frank about it, whether it was on ITV, be like, oh yeah, it's a sad thing to see coming to an end, blah, blah, blah.
We'll touch on Frankie in a minute, but the whole, I think there's a big problem, and a few of the comments touched on it, that the betting turnover is down, the viewing attendance is down, the viewers on TV is down.
The marketing strategy for the whole racing is a shambles. The only thing I can think off the top of my head that racing have got right is Champions Weekend,
Yeah.
Christmas festivals, Dublin Racing Festival, Cheltenham and Punchestown. That's the only thing they have right. They seem to neglect the second tier kind of festival / meetings. Like the Derby Festival is the biggest race meeting of the Irish Flat Meet Festival. And there wasn't that many people there at all on Friday. There was a big crowd yesterday, but if you compare that to what Punchestown get in a day, it's pittance. And then yet today, from what I saw on telly, there was no one there again. Whether it's the Curragh is located in a place where, look, it's not that hard to get to.
No, it's not.
It's in the middle. It's in a place where it's accessible from where we are, the bottom of Ireland. It's an hour and 20 minutes away. It's not that far away from the north, and it's close to Dublin, the main place. So whether it's the marketing strategy needs to change big time. They need to move it away from Ascot, because Ascot's a week before, which is not going to help at all. Whether people are talking about adding days to Cheltenham, whether they make it a 2-day festival, take the Friday away and have it a Saturday and Sunday, and put the group races on the Friday in on the Saturday or Sunday as well, make the race more competitive. Because there's some races there you'd expect to see in a midweek card, if we're honest about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's bad handicaps. There was a Group 2 that
it's not going to be a Group 2 anymore.
It's not going to be Group 2 much longer. If the caliber of horses keep going. And the Curragh are worried about this. There's no two ways about it. The Curragh are worried about the caliber of horses. It's not their fault. They're putting up the prize money. What was that? 150 grand for the winner of that? And you have Westover going off at 7-4 favours. Yeah. So it's not the track's fault. It's not prize money. It's the schedule. It's where this festival is positioned in the calendar season. Whether you put it 2 weeks from where it is today, what difference is that going to make?
Yeah.
If Atten, you're more likely to get more runners from Ascot, from the Derby meeting, because they've an extra. It's like, prime example, how far away is the Punchestown Festival and the Cheltenham Festival?
Yeah.
It's a good 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks max.
Usually, yeah.
It's spaced out properly. Same with Dublin Racing Festival. Spaced out perfectly for Cheltenham. The Christmas Festival, perfectly spaced out for the Dublin Racing Festival.
There's just so much problems at the moment, and I know we haven't gone into the racing over the weekend, and we will, but these are kind of important things to talk about. All the comments have nearly everybody has said something different that's wrong, and that in essence is what's going on with racing at the moment, which isn't a good thing. Like, we were well looked after in the Curragh. It was beautiful up there, really.
Like the facilities up
really
there,
impressive facilities, and
unreal.
We had press passes and so on, so we were looked after. But €50 to get in there yesterday, it wasn't worth €50. I'm sorry to say, but like, it just wasn't. When like the railway stakes had 5 runners, I think there was the ground is what it is. They didn't know whether to water and so on and so forth. That's Irish weather, but like, there was withdrawals all over the place, and you had Rule 4s here, there, and everywhere. Like,
but it's a flat meet. You're expecting good to firm ground.
The price is too much anyway. That for a start, €50 is too much.
On the biggest day of the flat meeting season, €50.
That's too much.
Yeah, probably. But I think they should be still doing what Dublin Race Festival are doing. The early bird tickets.
Yeah, but your man.
But then, the Dublin Race Festival are guaranteed to have these big stars at it. You're not guaranteed at the Curragh. Their hands are kind of tied. And in a way, this is their biggest. They're not going to have 12,000 people at the Curragh again this year. They have to cover their turnovers and their head covers and everything else to go with it.
I get that, but in my opinion, if it was a little bit cheaper, there'd be more people who go.
35, €40, you'd be like, yeah.
Like,
even if you get a drinks voucher or something there.
It's easy to pay €50, get a €5 betting voucher for Paddy Powers in there, or wherever. That was the bookies up there. And a drinks voucher for €5. So you're paying 50, but you're getting 10 back. Yeah. And people are more enticed to do that. And even if you want to do that online, So, like you're saying, if you come along on the day, it's €50 cash,
Yeah.
then so be it. But like you go there in a group of three, if there was three of us rocking up there, you're traveling up with the price of things at the moment for every person, diesel and stuff. Then €50 to get in, and it was great. It was great, but like the biggest star there was a
Westover.
cold Westover who hadn't won a Group One at that stage. When you're going in there and you're wanting them, if you fancy them to be something that might end up being a superstar later in the year, but
But
that was the biggest star of the day. There was no big O'Brien horses. There was no big Godolphin horses. So I just
but then does that come back to the thing of moving it, and shorten it to a 2 day festival?
possibly
If you move that, look, there's no top horses out there anywhere really, in Derby wise. But then, do you try rejig the races to get better horses in? Do you bring the Oaks into the weekend as well instead?
one of the lads in the comments said there's too much racing, full stop, and I kind of agree with that. Um, I think what the 3 day festival, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday could have been Saturday and Sunday or Friday and Saturday. There was maidens and stuff today, and obviously they're important, but surely they could put them on a different card and
Yeah,
have all the group
you
races kind of
shouldn't
together.
have maidens on a meeting like that. You don't see it
No.
at Epsom. You don't see it at Royal Ascot. You don't see any maidens, anything like that. You have that for maybe have it on the Friday and don't call it part of the festival. It's just a normal day for the maidens and whatever. Get the horses going, whatever. Then you have your 2 days. You have your railway stakes. You have your Group 2. You have that. This is Irish Trial, whatever you want to call it. You have your Pretty Polly stakes. What was that over? A mile?
Mile 2.
A mile 2. You can't really. Could you bring the Oaks into it then? Do you move the Oaks to the Derby weekend? To me, that logically makes sense. Move the Pretty Polly, because then you're kind of marketing on Epsom. You have your Epsom Oaks Day and you have your Epsom Derby Day. You have your Irish Oaks Day and you have your Irish Derby Day.
Yeah, well, like the Irish Oaks is another 3 weeks away. I don't understand why they don't have the Irish Derby, Irish Oaks,
I'd
Pretty
have them on the
Polly
same
all
weekend.
on that same weekend. It would make more sense to me, but
You get more people in the door. I'd have the Derby on the Sunday.
yeah,
I'd have the Oaks on the Friday, on the Saturday. You can easily split down the group races between the Saturday and Sunday. So what if you have to get rid of a few handicaps? You can make another meeting somewhere down the line, like in October. There's an October meeting there. Throw some of them in that.
I don't know. I think there's just so many massive problems at the moment. This Jermaine Genius thing is not going to sort it anyway. I think the fundamental problem with the flat racing is the normal Joe Sub can't get into it because I firmly believe a good percentage of people are into Cheltenham because the same horses return year after year, and they build up a fan affinity with a horse or horses over a couple of years, and then you see a horse as a 4-year-old that will run until it's 10, and it might go to 6 festivals, but it will be around for 6 or 7 seasons. And the person in the pub having a pint watching the racing, they're the people that go to the jumps meetings, from what I can gather. The flat meeting, like you can't help. We talk about Frankie and see the stars, but like you remember rarely any other horses because you will have seen them for 1, maybe 2 seasons, and then you never see them again.
Like you had a conversation with Evan up there, and you were rattling
Yeah,
off horses from
you didn't know any
it
of
would
them.
have been 6 years ago, and I was like, I can't even remember this
Yeah,
horse.
so like that's not going to change by giving Jermaine Genius 150 grand to promote racing. Again, in my opinion, the wrong person to promote racing. I think ITV racing have it totally wrong as well. They're too much into fashion and social media and Love Island and so on and so
If
forth.
they were
Which
going to
is
get someone like a ex-football player, it's on their doorstep in front of their eyes. Peter Crouch. He's all over Paddy
Yeah.
Power. He's gaining all the traction already.
Yeah.
He's tailor-made for straight away. And everyone loves Peter Crouch. Not everyone loves Jermaine Genius. Peter Crouch is a lad's lad. He comes across as a lad's lad. And if you Peter Crouch is going to race meetings, we might have a chance to meet Peter Crouch. We'll go for a few pints, have a bit of crack at the racing. That's a couple of thousand people in the door.
We can have a full show on this, but we'll move on.
Christ, that was 20 minutes.
We'll move on anyway. The first thing we're going to talk about.
He does. Keith Buckley, he has the best agent in the world.
He must
Was
have.
he not presenting the World Cup draw as
He
well?
must have, because the chap, he's everywhere and he doesn't really do anything.
Up the jumps.
First thing we're going to talk about is the Frankie and John Gosden split. We had talked about it a good bit on the show, and everybody knows I'm not the biggest Frankie fan, and haven't been probably since the show got big on YouTube over the last 2 years. I saw it coming a long time ago. I think John Gosden just got fed up. I think Emily Upjohn was the.
Do you know what I think was the kicker in this? I think Tady had a big say in this.
Well, I think Emily Upjohn was the straw that broke the camel's back. And apparently, one of the papers in England thinks Tady is John Gosden's wife. Please do better reporting than that. But Frankie Julie came out and does what Frankie does. Won on his only Mountain Saturday. He was at some stage yesterday the top headline on Racing Post, even though there was a derby in Ireland and Westover should have been the top story. But look, Frankie said he's going to ride on this year and next year. To me, as you get older, the body shuts down a little bit. I'm 35 and I can feel it happening already. I think Frankie's 51.
Happened to me when I was 28.
He's losing his racing brain a little bit. And although I don't like him as a jockey, I wouldn't be his biggest fan. He's definitely a superstar and he has a following in racing. And it'd be sad to see him go. But I think top sports stars, and he has been a top sports star in racing, should bow out on top. AP went when he felt it was the right time. Ruby could have kept riding and went when he felt it was the right time. I think Richard Johnson could have kept riding. He was coming to the end of his tether, but stopped as well. Barry Geraghty stopped as well. Frankie seems to be just...
He loves the limelight.
He seems to be getting every single string out of this. But yeah, what do you think?
Honestly, I couldn't care less. That's been totally honest. I think it's 2 years too late. Should have been done 2 years ago. Yeah, I have really no opinion because I don't really care. That's my God's honest truth. I couldn't care less about it. So what? It's Frankie. Big deal. He's 50 odd now. It's about time.
The thing I found strange about it, I seen a good few stories about I don't know how to make this sound not bad.
Say it how it is.
People are bringing up, right? I seen a couple of comments. Does no one care about mental health anymore, right? Absolutely everybody cares about mental health. But you're playing or involved in the top level of your sport. When footballers play bad, they get criticised. When rugby players play bad, they get criticised. GA, for some reason, people think you can't criticize a jockey because you've never ridden a horse, which I don't get.
I have.
The whole thing is, you've never ridden a horse. How would you know? It is plainly obvious at times when the horse is given a bad ride or a good ride, right? And everybody can say, and there's loads of plaudits, that's the best ride ever, Ryan on high definition, and although he didn't win and so on and so forth, it's obvious it's a good ride. It's obvious when there's bad ones. He gave there was a handicapper at Ascot anyway, and Frankie didn't even try. It's obvious when he doesn't try because he just drops his hands and does it. I don't get it. I don't like. If you're a fan of Frankie, it's sad you don't want to see him lose a good job because it is a good job. John Gosden will always have good horses, but how can you feel bad for Frankie, but not feel bad for Tom Marquand when he got taken off English King? How can you not feel bad for Gavin Ryan this year when he got taken off Pisbadil? He gave Pisbadil a great ride yesterday, came second in the Derby. How can you not feel bad for Adam Kirby when he got taken off John Leaper last year? He won the Derby, but was on an outsider. I just don't understand why it's poor Frankie, but not poor anybody else.
It's poor Frankie for what he's done. He's taken cocaine throughout his career. He's done that, but everyone was like, poor Frankie, even when he done that. Oisin Murphy done the same thing. But he can't get it. He's trying to go out and promote racing as well, but he's getting slated every day of the week. Mm-hmm. And he's come out, he's openly talked about it, but just because he's not doing flying dismounts and and his content that he does when he's riding as well. He talks about the rides he gave horses, if he gave him a good one, if he gave him a bad one. But for some reason, Oshin gets slated. I don't get that as well.
Yeah.
What's the whole stigma around Frankie?
I don't know. You know, Kieran Fallon.
Frankie's a Mayfainer.
Kieran Fallon was brilliant when he was riding as well. He was one of the first jockeys I was into when I got into flat racing, and he had his problems with drugs and alcohol and stuff as well. He never got away with it. Followed him around for his whole career, but some jockeys seem to get away with it. I feel bad for Rob Hornby. We'll touch on the Derby next. But someone wrote in there in the comments about Rob Hornby regards jockeys being jocked off. Very harsh on him. Colin Keane is brilliant, and fair enough, it's an Irish track, but I mean, I didn't take much riding at that horse yesterday. He bolted up, so very harsh. Megan Nichols touched on Ben Curtis being jocked off one of the George Bowie horses that won at Ascot as well. Very harsh. I just don't like seeing it, to be honest.
Like, I think it's ridiculous. How are you meant to give the future jockeys chances in these big races if you're jockeying them off for a 50-plus-year-old?
Yeah.
If you're like, I don't get why Rob Hornby got taken off him. Yeah, the gap went when it was there. He brought him around, blah, blah, blah. Leave him have a go to give himself a bit of redemption.
Yeah.
He's not going to make the same mistake again. Anybody could see yesterday as well, the best place to be yesterday was up near the top, and he would have done that. He would have been clear second. He would have easily won that race as well. As Dave said, that race did not take much winning from where the position he was in. Right position the whole way around. Easy as that.
I'm all for if you make a mistake or a couple of mistakes, then give someone else a shot. But jockeys being taken off horses just for big names, because you would, he's more experienced and blah blah, I think is wrong. Crazy Horse, which is a random name, but you're always in the comments, and thank you for the comments. His vast experience will win races. He's 50 plus now. His instinct and nerve has receded with age, and that's the real difference.
That is
literally, for the last 2 years, what's happened. It's a great comment.
His racing brain is gone.
He's won so many Group 1, so many races. There's no denying his talent and how much of a star he is in racing. But with age,
you slow
comes
down.
The things that happen with age.
You slow down.
So yeah.
Like, it's easy to go, and for him, imagine if he didn't win on a spiral. Frankie's gone at the game, blah blah blah. You could have won on the spiral.
Yeah, and I would think Andrew probably touched on a good point when we started. I don't think Goslin's much left personally. I think Tady will take over next year or the year after, and I'd say Tady said, "It's my baby now, and I want to pick the jockey I want. I don't want Frankie anymore."
I reckon he had a huge part to play in it. So you said it's only a matter of time before he's there to take over, and I'd say he's eyeing up Holly Doyle. He's eyeing up James Doyle. Yeah. He's eyeing up people like that, be it even a Tom Marquand kind of person.
Yeah,
he's eyeing up somebody like that, and rightly so. If he knows he's going to get this job full time on his own the next 2-3 years, he wants rid of Frankie. Look, we're not a fan of Frankie, but you can't get away with Frankie Dunn throughout the years. There's a time when you need to stop. And it's the thing we used to touch on there, the Ruby AP Barry. They knew. They went down when people are questioning, why are you stopping? You're right at the top of the game. Frankie doesn't know when to stop because Frankie loves the limelight.
Yeah.
And he's off the Belmont now. He's off all overseas now because he knows he's not going to get here anymore because the rides are going from over here.
Yeah.
And it'll be the Frankie show in America and all that.
Yeah, it's Alex Ryan there. They already mentioned Frankie for the King George on Westover. Why? Don't know. I mean, you've picked Colin Keane now. I would stick with him. Or if you're gonna come to Ireland with Westover, and Colin's gonna ride him here, then just give Rob Hornby back to ride in England. It makes no sense to me.
Or just bring Colin over. One of them.
I firmly believe as well. I know Frankie said he'll keep riding, but I think if he wins a big Group 1, he will retire.
He'll be gone the end of the season.
He'll retire. But yeah, it's a big story this week. We'll move on to the Derby. Westover won by 7 plus lengths. I think it was a great ride. Colin Keane's riding the track as he does all summer long in Ireland and every track. But he rode Curragh superbly all weekend. We were up there. the wind up there was drying out the track so quickly, and if you sat up at the pace, you gave yourself a better chance of winning. The first three in the finish were the first three the whole way around. I think Ryan was speaking today that the race didn't go to suit for Tuesday. She was definitely too far back, but I mean, Colin Keane took the chance of that away. He rode him up at the pace, kicked on. Pisbadil ran great to be second, and Paddy Toomey's horses again running well. French Claim in third, but he was very good. He's by Frankel. I think he'd get further. You might see him on the ledger, but they reckon he might be good enough to be a King George horse. What do you think, Andrew?
I was convinced before he ran this, he was a ledger horse all day long. I thought he just lacked the tactical speed, and it kind of, I'm still over the same kind of view on him. He kind of galloped him into submission from the front. He got the better of Pisbadil, who probably he's not on the same level as Westover. I think he'd be better over further as well. I think the St. Leger trip is suiting down to the ground. King George horse, why not at this stage? But yeah, look, I think as we've seen from Friday and Saturday, the place to be in the car was up front. Ryan was too far back, and look, the race after that, he knew exactly he had the winner up by the front at 20-1. How we didn't cop onto a Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien horse going off at 20-1.
Yeah,
we never know. Look, very, very impressive winner. He changed my mind after the race. I never thought he'd do that. But yeah, look, see what's in the King George before we get carried away.
Yeah, Frankel as well. His sire becoming much like his daddy and just amazing at producing tough horses. They seem to stay all sorts of distances, but excel over 1 mile 2, 1 mile 4. That's another Group 1 winner for Frankel. So I'd say it won't be long till you have to ring to book Frankel. You won't be paying money to ring and see if your filly's good enough to go there. So yeah, just touching on the Curragh as well. If anybody has never been there, it's worth a visit up. It's a lovely course. Stand is amazing. I don't think they'll ever get rid of the noise with the way the architecture on the stand is.
You kind of get used to it and forget it's happening when you're up there.
The wind, it is. I thought Touchmore was the coldest race course I've ever been at, but the Curragh is, and we've been there I think 3 times now, and it's been cold every single time. So if you're going to the Curragh, bring a jacket. But it's an amazing stand up there, and just
the inside of it is. It's designed on Dubai's track, I think, as far as I can remember. It's unreal. It's so modern. It's not even funny. And the way it's laid out is laid out perfectly. You can see everything. There's seats in the stands. There's plenty of room for everyone. As Dave said, if you haven't been there, go there Champions Weekend.
The bookies full. Hello from Newcastle Airport, lads. #mashed. Drink away, please. Yeah, it's amazing. And thanks to Evan and Paul, who looked after us all weekend up there. It was great. It's just a really nice vibe up there too. Good people up there.
Everyone that works up there is lovely. They're kind of the other side of the flat. They're proper lads like Paul. Like he tell you he used to work in France with David Cotton and all them, and he tell you stories like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
And Evan's so laid back, he's horizontal.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's a great couple of days up there. I have to say, enjoyed it.
And I blagged myself. I blagged Dave the best present ever as well.
Yeah, we won't. No, we're not saying that. I'm not saying it till it happens. Because if I say it, it won't come true.
But when do I ever not make it happen?
And thanks to anybody that came up and talked to us and said they watched the podcast and stuff. So we appreciate it as whenever we're at these meetings.
We nearly fell over when about an 8-year-old came over to us. Hi, you're the lads from the YouTube podcast. I love you, lads. You're so crack.
I'd say it shouldn't have hard to carry.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Jesus Christ. I gave him a winner and all. I didn't have many winners myself.
The lads from the YouTube.
It's been a hard month. I got let down on a Trixie and a treble today with a 16th one. I came second. Oh, Jesus. Craig Johns keeps saying Ginge Racing Knowledge Dyer. I think this is the fella that commented last week and said someone said they couldn't hear me. He said you're better off. So look, we get criticized the same as everybody else. There's nobody here Ginge either. So you're either blind or drunk. I'm bald and he's blonde. And Tom is not here, and he's not Ginge either. And he couldn't be talking about me because my racing knowledge is, and that is confidence, and it's because it is, isn't it?
Yeah, so is mine, but I don't want the fucking.
We'll touch on Willie Mullins. He
Yes.
had the winner of the race, the last race of Friday.
Hollywood.
It was a Hollywood Bets 2-mile race.
The Hollywood Bets now painting Ireland purple handicap over 2 miles. Oh my God, did I get that right?
There was talks of this horse then going to the Irish Cesarewitch later in the season. He'd have a right good chance. I think he ran it very well. Another good ride by Colin Keane. But Willie hung around and was chatting to us.
He's a legend. End of story.
Very,
Willie
very
Mullins
nice
is
man.
An absolute legend.
Down to earth, we were asking him about Vauban, and he was saying that he loves him, but as ever, be worried about him as a 5-year-old going hurdling. But
we asked him, was he going to run?
Yeah, we asked him, was he going to run the flat,
and he said no. I have bigger plans for him.
Bigger plans. He won't be ready for no flat race, no flat yaks. But yeah, thanks to Willie for hanging around and answering a few questions and having a chat. So nice fella.
Try to get us a stable tour of WP Mullins.
Yeah, I'd say and you know who's a lovely fella as well, Ger Lyons.
Ger is dead on.
We've talked to him a couple of times, and he's just
Ger is dead on.
Very, very down to earth as well. With any of the times we've been up there and sponsoring a race, Aidan hasn't won it, so we haven't got to talk to Aidan yet.
He really has. No. He had a favour in 2 races, and now 2 odds on shots.
I honestly think Hollywood Bets has sponsored, I'd say, 8 races, and Ger Lyons won 5 of them.
He won 3 even on Friday, and Willie won the 3rd. No, he didn't win 3. He won 2.
He won 2, and he won 2 the other time as well.
He won 2 the other time as well. Willie's won 1. Gordo has won 1.
Noel Mead.
Noel Mead. Hartley's.
Yeah.
Who else has won 1? Joseph?
No, maybe Andy Oliver won 1. There's an obscure trainer.
John McConnell won 1.
JB McManus has won a couple as well.
Gavin Cromwell has won 1.
He has, yeah, that's correct.
Who else? Willie's won a few. Gordon's won a few. I think Ger is on top of the leaderboard right now.
Fair play to Ger Lyons.
Back
horses
in October
are
now.
Constantly banging in winners anyway.
That was the Colin Keane show, and everyone's invited on Friday.
And the last thing about the racing this weekend, Le Petit Coco is back. Most famous last year for Tom putting her up a couple of times, and she beat Love. And it was come out and won a Group 1. We touched on the race, the horse in 3rd being disqualified, but Le Petit Coco, she hadn't ran in like nearly fully a year. Came out today. She was, I'm nearly sure, 11-4 favourite last night and drifted all the way to 9-1.
She was top of the market when we were looking at last night.
It was very strange. My Astra went off favourite, and Le Petit Coco done exactly what she did a couple times last year. She's just tough. Very, very tough. Click into her to see who her sire is.
You don't know her sire. Rule the World.
She's by Ruler of the World, who won a derby for Aidan. Yeah, he hasn't got many decent horses, but she's very good. She looks like she's only going to get better. She goes on soft ground, so I'd say later on the season we might see her at that race at Ascot that me and Tom thought she'd win last year. But trainer's very good. Mm-hmm. He's some great horses. He's banging in the winners as well. Billy Lee just is on fire too. What can you say?
She's on very good form. Since she moved to Peter Toomey, she's only ever been beat once. And that was behind Willow at Naas.
And that was her first run then. And I think she went off favourite that day. Willow was a well-touted Aidan O'Brien horse. She won a
3-year-old novice at Killarney, I think. Then she was beaten Naas. She won back. Is it Killarney before I start talking choice? KLS Killarney, no? Yeah, Killarney. She beat Calopur.
Calopur.
Then she beat Thunder Kiss. Then she beat Love last September, and she's had to come back to win this off a 287-day break. To do that on the back of a break, the drift in my head would only be if they were worried about her race fitness.
But they must have been. But when you watch the race, she had 2 times where she could have given up. The horse came up alongside her and nearly went past her twice. And both those times she stuck ahead there and kept going. So she was definitely fit enough.
Now, on the side of that, now, and we've seen it happen many, many times, would that worry you going through the season now for the rest of that could leave a mark?
Sometimes. Michael Meehan said a good point there again about what we were saying. It paid to be prominent all day, all weekend, and she was prominent, so it probably helped her. The O'Brien filly and the other Haggis filly were never in the race. They were fifth and sixth, but they're better than that. But Aidan was talking about his filly, the Justify filly that won the early stud stakes, that they only had her about 70% fit because they didn't want her to have a hard race with the end and the middle of the season to go to. So he said if I had her 100% fit, she could have. He basically said she could have bolted up and won by a good few lengths. But then have we left our season behind? So yeah, it's possible. You'd have to wait and see Le Petit Coco the next time, but she could bounce the next time after.
Like if we go back to, we had this worry with Allaho when he won the John Durkin, because never in a million years do we think he was going to win, because he's the horse that progresses throughout the season. He was a big enough boy to get over that. You kind of might be worried with the fillies more. Has it left a mark?
Well, I would say about Toomey as well. If you look at some of his horses, he's brought horses back off long layoffs. They've won. Lots of them have been backed and they've won. And the next time out, they can be favourites and bomb out. But then the next time they come back to form. So it is quite possible that she could bounce the next time. She didn't run for nearly 300 days. So
and look, if she does bounce, who cares? She just won a Group 1.
Yeah, exactly. She's done her job now. Key Buckley, yeah, the Aidan O'Brien filly is called Statuette. She's by Justify, who is American Triple Crown winner. And she's Tenebrism's half sister.
What you make of Cougar today?
Yeah, he was very good. I just keep going up and trip with him, to be honest.
Looks like a slow piece of work. Deep impact.
Yeah. Look, all if you're into breeding, there's some nice horses over the weekend.
True, Shan. Let's touch on this. People are saying this has been the best flat weight carrying performance ever.
Yeah, look, I know what people are. There was people giving out saying he's not. If you win handicaps and blah blah blah, that's not in Group 1. And it's only a 2-mile race and all that. But it's to do with the ratings. He's the first 120 plus horse to win a handicap off that rating. And if you go strictly by the weights, it's a phenomenal performance, because the horse that came second, he gave him fully 2 stone. By weights and how they handicap horses, that should not happen. The thing I put up came second, which has been the case of the whole of June, to be honest. But I'm not surprised he won. I think having Holly on him and not a £5 claimer, she just knows him better. I think he's getting better as he's definitely progressing, because he couldn't win it last year with a £5 claimer. But yeah, I think it was a very good performance. Strictly on weights and ratings, he should not have won, and he did.
No, he shouldn't have. He's rated what, 120, and the second was rated 97, and you said gave him full on 2 stone. He gave it 2 stone and 2 to the horse in third. If you flip this around, and you call this the Hennessy, and a horse like Denman done this.
Yeah.
This is a Group 1 horse. This is a proven Group 1 horse. Denman's a proven Grade 1 chaser when he done this.
Yeah.
Technically, yes, this is the best flat weight carrying performance you're likely to see in a long, long, long time.
Even if you don't like the horse, and I don't think I've ever backed Trushan, it's very unfair on the horse and the trainer and jockey to question it, because...
And when you take as well into consideration, his best form, his best figures are all on soft ground.
Yeah.
And this is on the all-weather. On a surface that's 100% not going to suit him down to the ground. And he's still done it.
If you ran that level weight, he would have won by about 40 minutes.
Oh, he would have done it in a canter. It
was a very good performance. I was wicked impressed, to be honest. And he had every chance as well to give up.
Furlong out, he didn't look like he was going to win.
He could have thrown the towel in like he did last year, and Holly just kept going, and he got up.
Touch on sense of duty, Dave, when you actually put up that one.
Yeah, I had I put up Teresa Mendoza at the Cora as well at 14s.
You did. You did, indeed.
There was a few. No, she wasn't 14s when the betting came up, because there's a few taken out race. But she was backed off the boards yesterday from 8s into 4s. But the reason I put up her was because of Sense of Duty, which I mentioned on the podcast Wednesday. And then when the entries came out, I see that she's running at Newcastle. And I said, Andrew, I'm fairly sure this is a Group 1 filly, Group 1 sprinter.
Now, let's
And
be honest. 2 furlongs out, you were not
yeah,
thinking the same thing.
I was like, he's a bit too far back. And she won by like 5 lengths. I telling you, she's full on Group 1 sprinter.
Bolted up. What I liked about her is she's not one of these horses that cuts through a field and just goes. She's one that you need to get stuck into,
Yep.
and the further the race is going, obviously the faster she's getting.
She hits the line hard.
Hard.
She travels well enough, but she doesn't travel like a travelly thing.
She doesn't get outpaced as much.
Yeah, but she hits the line hard, and she did in the race that she won previously. That with Teresa Mendoza was in Haydock. She was behind a bit and hit the line really strong. It's a really strong piece of form now because I think the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th have all won. Flotus was 2nd. She ended up being 3rd in the Commonwealth Cup, a Group 1. So she's a filly to watch out for.
That it?
That's it for me anyway. Yeah, it was a good weekend of racing. Not so good in the betting front. I tipped a few winners, but I had a few multiples, and unfortunately they were let down, and that's the way it goes.
Friday wasn't bad. Saturday was terrible.
I had a multiple going on with Armagh and the football, and then they drew today. So
Armagh?
yeah.
Since when?
I had them like with the horses, and then Armagh today. Thought they'd win today, but they didn't win either. So I got between Ascot and this weekend, I'd say I got let down for 10 multiples over the last couple of weeks. And they were like Armagh drew, and I think all the other horses that let me down were either 2nd or 3rd. So it's just been one of them.
You get there.
Yeah, it's been a few of them weeks. I've had a good old year with Cheltenham and stuff, so can't win them all.
This is true.
Have you anything else to say?
Me? No, Jesus, no. I'm too tired now.
Are you tired?
It's busy 2 days. Running around like a blue ass fight for 2 days.
I think I'm nearly sure there's a decent race on Saturday. We'll check here now.
Cards. And we go to Saturday. And we have Sandown. Oh, yeah, the Coral Eclipse is on.
So the Coral Eclipse is on Saturday. As ever, we'll be back Wednesday. Tom will still not be back, so it'll just be me and Andrew. The Coral Eclipse is on. Vidani's coming over to try and do what St. Mark's Basilica done last year, so it should be a good race. He looked very good in
the Coral Eclipse?
Yep. They're supplementing him.
Okay.
He looked very good in the French Derby, so that should be a good race. It's always a good meeting. It was kind of dead middle of the summer, and that flat racing, it was really in the middle. Royal Ascot's over. And the jumps is around the corner.
She wears it well Thursday, apparently.
She wears it well. It's running Thursday in Tipperary. I got a text about that as well. So
please let it go.
No, God, no. No. She is Galway hurdle bound. I'm telling you, I can fucking feel this now.
HMSC horse apparently is going there now after back of today's win.
I would keep him on the flat.
Yeah, he's more of a flat type.
Well, he came out of Aiden's. He's very well bred.
I know he is.
But yeah, he won that handicap easy today. But yeah, don't mind the Eclipse. It's a grade 3 hurdle racing tip on Thursday. The Jumps fans will be happy.
Who's entered?
The Grimes hurdle.
The Rasso, Soul Pretender, Gaelic Arc, Wave at the Sea, Bustleton, Dark Spark, Early Doors, Felix Deji, just Cuba's horse. Francos, Lunar Display, Saint Wa, Santa Rosa, Celestial Horizon, and she doesn't jump hurdle as well.
Lads, she wears it well. That Group 1 she ran in at Punchtown Festival was top notch.
Geez, she's 10 stone 8. She's
off bottom weight.
Christ above.
You heard it here first.
If she doesn't win this on Thursday, they need to retire her.
I heard it here
She needs to win this by half the track.
She's going to do the business. We'll see you Wednesday, and on that note, have a great Sunday evening, and we'll be back Wednesday. Not live. Andrew will record it and put it on YouTube.
I will.
The YouTube men.
The YouTube. Oh, you're the YouTube men. On that note, we'll see you on Wednesday.